Mm. I do need. Ooh, that's a plan. Instead of going ad breaks, how about the coffee break? I'm gonna have like coffee break going on across, and we'll like just go grab a coffee. I might be honestly. I'm not gonna launch it on desktop. I need to write this down. I do have. I'm using Notion to kind of keep track of things I want to do. Let's see, coffee break instead of ad break. Oh, you can stay because you didn't have as much schoolwork as you thought. Well, welcome. How you doing? Let's see. Sorry, just give me a second. I'm writing down some notes because I had this ingenious idea. Well, I wouldn't call it a genius, I guess. It's more of a hey, it is a idea or an idea, right? And we'll see what happens. So, how you doing, MHL? How you doing? Let's see. So that is fine. No lag, right? Please. Oh, all right. We'll see what happens. All right. So, oh, it's early in the morning. Ugh. I did sleep well though, which is nice. Got to bed about what time could it have been? Like, probably around 10 p.m., which is really early for me. So I got at least 7 or 6 hours of sleep, which is usually what I need. Either way, we are making. I am going back to school, kind of. I need to like take off all the rust I have gathered for the past half year since I could code last time. And I do have a course, so I'm going to have a tutorial on my side. So unfortunately, you're going to have to see my less nice side for quite some time. But I'll go back and forth. I'm not going to stare to the side and do nothing else, right? So, but I do have like a tutorial on the sides. That's why I'm going to look at this side. If that makes sense. I don't know. Let's see. You've been experimenting with the realism. Oh, all right. That's cool. In what way? Are we talking the classic traditional painting or more 3D stuff? Because realism, that's what I got into game design. I didn't really do it for stylized. I was more like, you know what? I want to recreate this. I guess games such as which games would have been my inspirations back then? This is back in 2000. Wait, 2017, right? Well, actually, it started earlier than that, but back in 2017, I went to this school in Stockholm, which focused on um, game design. Not sure why that didn't come out right. Robert, Joe, oh, sorry, Roberto, how are you doing? And MHL, you did a tutorial, and now you're experimenting. Cool, cool. That's awesome. You're doing good. I'm glad. So, what have you been up to? What are you doing right now, if you don't mind? Mm, it's not coffee. That's water. I only have one more sip of coffee. Mm. You're also working on a horror game. Cool, cool. That's really awesome. What is the niche, the genre, the pitch? What is your horror game about? I'm curious. And if you share, I'll share mine, if that's fair. I might actually do this because I kind of do recommend this tutorial. Let's see. How should we do this? Best way to do this. Can I do that? Now, to preface though, I will be sharing this, but it is a paid tutorial. It's not a free YouTube tutorial. So if you have a look and you feel like this is something for you and you do have the cash for it, I do recommend it. Otherwise, yeah, YouTube is also fine. But I found this on Udemy. It's a well-structured course, so I highly recommend. Again, if you have the cash for it. It's not necessary, but it's a good tutorial. And how should we do this? We should do it this. God, why have I've done this in forever? Should do it like that, right? Seems fine. There we go. Let's see. I was hoping to have gone through this entire thing like on Monday. But unfortunately, I felt ill. Really ill, to be honest. And that was annoying. That is a niched genre, if anything. You are making a game where a woman is visiting an old school or a school in general, and there was a wrestling event that was going on. Okay. And they are now hunting that school. A 30-minute long game. All right. I mean, for me, I feel like 30 minutes is quite decent, isn't it? It should be underestimated. It shouldn't be underestimated how long it takes to just make a game that's 30 minutes long. You still need quite a lot of assets. Well, depending, of course, on what type of game you're making and the scope, right? But I'd say 30 minutes of gameplay. That's a decent amount of work. Cool. But how about you link to your channel? I don't mind. Do it. And of course, devlog is. I think it's fun. That's why I'm doing devlogs. So right. It would be weird if I didn't think devlogs were interesting in any way. I'm just grabbing the thing at the bottom, so we're going to put that away. All right. First of all, I can't hear myself because I do have loud music in the background, so I'm going to turn that on. And I'm not going to, by the way, play audio from the tutorial on stream. I'm sure you all understand copyright stuff and all that. But we do have, at least on Twitch side, YouTube side, unfortunately, there's no music at all because of reasons. I plan on fixing that. It's just that I haven't. So the difference between YouTube and Twitch when it comes to music, it's quite big. Twitch is a lot like less harsh on using what should be copyrighted music. So I highly so it's highly recommend. I don't recommend anything. You shouldn't do anything that you don't want to. We should or shouldn't do. The point is, I don't have music right now to play on YouTube side. So hopefully, I'll find a decent source for that eventually. I'm looking at a few sources. I haven't decided yet whether or not it's in my budget to spend money on a subscription or something like that. We'll see. Twitch has so much junk on the screen, turns me off from it. That's fair. That's fair. It's the platform isn't for everyone. Neither is YouTube, right? I can say a few negative stuff about YouTube streaming if I wanted to too. Both of them. They both have their ups and downs. It's a preference. It's absolute preference. I prefer less stuff on screen if I can. I don't want to take away from like the experience, if you want to put it like that. And I think more YouTubers are, sorry, YouTubers, streamers on Twitch are going that direction. Some aren't, of course, but hey, it is what it is. Preferences. All right, let's see. I'm just going to start, I guess. I do want to make some progress. I did some, I think I've done like 30 of a total of 100 or something like that videos from this tutorial. And we, just as like start as a warm up, not today though, but a few days ago. So I did this mover component stuff and a trigger component where we're going to start working on, and hopefully within an hour or so we'll get to the pickup part. And that's your only real issue, the less junk. You want less junk with that, yeah, makes sense. That makes sense. The Twitch has a few other downsides. It's not perfect by no means. But yeah, what else can you do? It's either YouTube, Twitch. I'm sure someone would say Kick. I haven't looked into Kick. I'm not sure if my impression of Kick is that positive. I guess I'm neutral. Just don't know enough about it. Never heard of Kick. Yeah, I guess that's kind of the thing. Kick isn't really that big. But you do have a lot of streamers, especially on Twitch side, that talk about it. And I'm sure the big one will be, yeah, Asmongold, I think is the big one. But then again, I'm not sure. I don't follow him, but he's been mentioned a few times. I've seen him on YouTube that he has his Kick logo. I don't know. It's different, less established platform. But they seem to be more generous when it comes to the what would you call it? You would call it the share of the monetization for the stream. I think they go 90-10, 90 to the developer then. And you Twitch is more depending on how you like your level and your ad settings, but it's closer to 50-50, I think. I need to look that up because I'm not on the level where I kind of need to know the exact values or the exact numbers. All right, I'm going to start with this. So we're going to start with wait, what are we doing? Right. So this trigger component needs to find this mover. So we're going to search for trigger by class in this case, or it's not trigger by class. Find class, I believe it's called. And let's start with this. Should we make it public? Do have two publics, which makes no sense, I guess. All right. So what we need is a U property. It's meant to be able to be edited anywhere. It was an actor. We need to find an actor. Right, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Right. Right, that makes sense. I need to relaunch Unreal, don't I? That's terrible. You're not great with coding, so you're sticking with Blueprint. That makes sense. I don't know why I decided to go the C++ route. Probably because there were some great tutorials. But I do want to get better at C++. Hopefully that will help me in the end, but I'll likely integrate some Blueprint stuff. At least maybe for prototyping at least, and then I might, depending on performance and things like that, go into C++. But yeah, there will be some Blueprint stuff going forward. I'm not a coder. I'm not a scripter. So there's going to be a lot of tutorials and maybe just I don't know. I'm not sure how to deal with that yet. But yeah. So yeah, so I'm in a similar situation as yourself. My expertise is more like in environment arts. I'm an artist in the background, like that's where I'm from. So these sessions will likely feel quite amateur. Let's see. Right. So the idea then is if I click this thing and go to trigger, I believe I should see this guy. So now I can just do a picker and I can pick the door, which means that it's now aware, or at least I've made it store this actor. I'm trying to figure out whether or not this is a good approach, but it is a tutorial, so I'm honestly I'm not going to complain. I'm not complaining on his approach. It's more like, is this an approach I want to take? We'll see. We'll see. Right. Nope, that's not the one. There you go. There's so much to learn. You kind of just have to pick a lane and move forward as best as you can. Exactly. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the idea. I mean, I'm sure someone can do it. There's always someone out there that's kind of a savant that can do anything, right? But I'd say that's one in a million or even less. So yeah, absolutely. In my case, yeah, I'm gonna lean into the environment stuff, the material graph, the textures. But for now, I do need some coding, right? I do need at least some coding. So yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe in the future, depending on what I could do with this channel and how I can uh, allocate budgets, I might be able to hire someone in the future to kind of refine everything I'm working on. It's still up in the air. I do so. The goal I have for this, I'm gonna get back to tutorials soon, but the goal I have for this game is first, I want an MVP. I want something that I can upload to people, have them try. I think the idea I have works. I think it could be really interesting, but I don't know until I give it to players and get feedback. So my goal right now is first of all to achieve a milestone of just uploading an MVP. And that needs very few things, of course, but it needs some logic in it. So we'll see. But that is definitely like I totally agree 100% with what you're saying is pick a lane. Lean into your strength and do a few things on the side. And if you need tutorials, go for it. Go, dude, absolutely. Do I back up on GitHub? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I am backing up the product files, but not the source files. The source files I've linked to a Google Drive folder, and then I'm uploading everything else like binaries and things like that to GitHub. Trying to keep the Git as small as possible, which is not really that simple considering it's an Unreal project. It's Unreal is as Unreal is an amazing engine, but just it's big. I think the smallest download you can do is 32 gigabytes or something along those lines. So if you're not interested in like having a big project on your computer, I wouldn't recommend Unreal. But yeah, your project's 200 gigabyte. It gets there, and 32 is a lot. It is. It is. I mean, if you're from Godot side, uh, which is I think the engine is a few megabytes. Am I wrong saying that? It's not big at all. So absolutely, Unreal is insane in that sense. And 200 isn't that big as you think. It is. Well, I mean, yes, it is 200 gigabytes. it is a lot. But consider it, if you've been working on it for quite some time, and textures, for example, that is the big deal. Textures, oh, it's the biggest, in my humble opinion, memory that thief, because a 4K texture is likely to be about a gigabyte. It wouldn't be surprised me at all. 16 gig when you package the game. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, you definitely you're not so MHL. Just so you know, we're not talking about the exe or the game itself. We're only talking right now. We're talking about the engine. So you're as a player, you're not going to get a 200 gigabyte game sent to you. No, that would be insane. That would be on the level of Call of Duty, wouldn't it? Zedashaw. Is that how I pray it? How you doing? Welcome and a party rate of 35. Wow, dude. Thank you. Welcome everyone. How y'all doing? You're just entering a big discussion of the size of projects, whether or not Unreal Engine is big or not, like in size. How y'all doing? What is that emote, by the way? I need to see this. What is this? Oh, that's parachutes. Okay, fair enough. Welcome all. How you all doing? My name is Pete. I guess this is how you do it, right? You do a welcome introduction. I am a solo dev here on Twitch, and right now I'm having discussion with YouTube, so I'm also streaming on YouTube, and they can't see the y'all, so I guess I have to introduce you to everyone. And I'm making a game, a horror game. Right now, I am following a tutorial because I am not a coder. I am an environment artist. So I will be doing some coding with tutorials on the side. Hopefully, get fluent enough with coding to make my few small stuff. But yeah, eventually we'll get into more proper like environment stuff. Sorry, went and then closed like it does. How's it going? Did you rate? Yes, rate absolutely worked. Don't worry about it. I can see you all. Said, how was your stream, by the way? What are you working on? Yeah. Oh, wow. That was a lot of people. How y'all doing? Yeah. Wow. I was kind of caught me off guard. Yeah. I do the same thing every time I get a raid. It's always a lot of fun. It went well. I was doing some C++ trying to sort out my animation system. Oh, wow, dude. Going from animation and coding at the same time. That's insane. I'm doing some simple stuff right now. It's me looking at this tutorial, trying to just figure out how to connect these two, like a mover up component and a trigger. I want this trigger to trigger this mover. It's just a lot of the same word. But yeah, I'm early stage. I think this is the third or fourth week I'm on this project, so it's very early. It's a game about it's a horror game on this. I'm not sure how to explain because it's trying hard to put into few words. The idea is that you, as a player, will kind of discover what happened to a deranged old man. So you're going to enter his house and you realize that he has gone insane, right? But you also discover a few horrors that he's been doing at the same time because of his loneliness that drove him mad. So you'll discover as you go along what he did, right? Roberto, you don't stream because nothing gets done. There's some truth to that, absolutely. Winchester Mansion. Have I heard of that? I mean, not probably not in the context you're talking about, but I've heard those two words. But I need to look that up. What is Winchester Mansion? Let's see. We're talking like a series game. I'm assuming a game. Oh, what is this? Is this a haunted house or something? The Mystery House. Oh, this is in the US. All right. Tourist attraction 9 months after Winchester's death in 22. All right. It's this crazy building in California that was created by a guy who thought the government would get him or something. You can take a tour through it. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because it is kind of like, yeah, only in the US would you have someone who goes crazy and a former firearms dealer or something, right? Firearms magnate, William Wirt Winchester. So I take it maybe Zed, you're American then? Is that because well, it is kind of not the haunted house I'm expecting though. It is kind of like a mansion-esque. So what's the story of this guy then? Mystery house. What's so mysterious about it though? Happy memories, traveling. Looking at Wikipedia, I'm like, not sure if that helps. Oh, really? That's interesting. I had this idea quite recently. I was kind of thinking of the theme where I wanted the entire game to like just take place, right? And since I am from the Scandinavian countries, I am from Sweden, I thought, you know what? How about we just do it in the middle of winter? Because one thing that is quite scary about the winters in Sweden is the darkness, right? It gets dark early. It's dark at least 16 hours uh, a day during the winter. Like it's rarely it gets like you get a few hours of light after like 10 a.m., 11 a.m., and then it gets dark again at 3 p.m., 4 p.m. But I'm also from the countryside, so if you have these small roads and there's no street lights, so everything's just pitch black. By the way, thank you, Zed, for the follower, and also I do believe we saw someone else. Under Switch. Well, you just said raid hype, so thank you again. Thank you. So yeah, so I was thinking, you know, what if we lean into that theme? So let's go with the darkness, walking down the road, but you get to this old, not sure what to call it. It's what we like a country residence, a fairly sizable one. Then you would have everything take place in that area, but you discover there's a secret part of this zone. So you would have to go outside again into the forest or following this road, another road, a hidden road to a secret place. So everything will be quite dark, not a lot of action to the game. It will be a lot more leaning into what Amnesia did, which was not really giving the player urgency to fight back. It was more like you're vulnerable. So I want to lean into that part. If you you're feeling the connection there, Michelle, like the no lights, everything's pitch black. Atmosphere and tension, you could make light a mechanic. Yeah, I'm leaning into lights, absolutely. I think the main mechanic, the core loop will be more of observation and discovery. I haven't really thought of any like concrete mechanics right now, but lights will definitely be playing a part because that is pretty much the only tool you have available to you, at least for now. Uh, I'm also leaning into kind of what PT did, not the repeating corridor, but more like you never really got a tool in PT, right? It was more like you just walk around and experience a decent amount and find clues as to what happened. I want to take some inspiration from that and add that kind of tension and self discover like the play. I want the player to discover what's going on. And there's also a comment a YouTuber did many years ago where he said he felt the game became less scary once he saw the monster. The monster still scared him, but what scared him even more was his own mind. So when he had to make like every time a sound happened, he didn't know if he was in danger or not, but he's like, all right, now my head is making up stuff. So I want to lean into that too. So I have a few ideas, but light, it's definitely going to be a mechanic. Underswitch, you did follow me. Thank you. Thank you so very much. I do appreciate that. So yeah, there's a few things going on in the game. And yeah, awesome. Let's see if we can't get a few more code lines written. I'm pretty sure what we're going to do next from this, because we just added an actor pointer to this, so we're just connected to. I mean, I'm doing some very simple stuff here. We're just assigned the door to this actor, right? Which is proper words of saying I'm doing stuff. And I think the next step is kind of to use that. So we're going to use find actor component, I believe. So I'm having a tutorial on my left, uh, trying to do that at the same time. I'm coding. So if I sound distracted, that is the reason. Why on earth would we do that? Okay, so we're going to make another variable. Not sure why. Oh, sorry, I need to do this first. No, not that. We're going to do this. We're going to ask it to reference that header. Uh, wait, am I doing it this part? Sorry. So why will we do this? So we're going to have to create a... Right. So why would you do this? I'm assuming we want to reference or find something in this other script or other code base class. It's called a class, right? And we want to reference that somehow. Let's see if we can figure out. All right, we want the access to it. All right. I mean, we want to make sure we know what we're doing. That makes sense. Right. So we want to make a check if, I believe we call it mover, right? No, mover actor. Right. We want to check if the that box is empty. If it's empty, we want to sure we want to add that. Sometimes they do recommend some weird stuff. That's fair. Okay. So instead of this text, there we go. So we now check whether or not we do have that, and Unreal will not crash on us. At least that is my assumption. Hmm. Right. Find by class. Let's see is what is the find component by class doing? How about we just do this? Mover actor, find component by class. See if we can't figure out what it's doing. Probably to find temporary version and find a lot. Hands casting for you. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Can I do that? I can. But is it correct? Component by class. Come on, Unreal Docs. Just give me a simple. Searches components array and returns first. Is that really the one? Just wanted to know what it's doing. I can make a guess, but I'm assuming then the trigger box, which is assigned to my well trigger component, is or the box itself. So I have a shape in Unreal, this thing, and that I've assigned a box collision shape to it, which I would call trigger. So it's a C++ class based on the box shape. Is it actor component, right? And the find component, which is I'm assuming I'm looking for something on this guy though. Am I looking for this thing, which is a actor component I've added to mover? So my assumption then is we're going to use the find by class, find component by class by, and we're going to find the mover component. Is that what we're going for? I'm trying to figure this out. Just don't want to like completely go brain dead and do what he says. You're working with geonodes in Blender then? Oh, dude. I have been meaning to look into that for the longest time. What are you trying to do though? What is the thing you want to do with geonodes? Because I used to be someone who I worked in Houdini quite a bit, like a few years ago. So geonodes was always on my radar as something I might look into one day. Chase, do you think it's possible to simultaneously be entertaining and locked into coding at the same time? Do I think it is possible? I'm going to say likely no. Likely no. Um, I will do my best though. I will definitely do my best. I mean, yeah, this is just a test. This is the first time I'm doing this on live. It's likely what you're saying. Trying to be entertaining at the same time as I'm locked into code will likely not happen. But we'll see. If it doesn't do well, I'm going to try a few times at least. If it doesn't do well, what I will do is probably do coding off stream, offline. And then on stream, I'll show what I'm actually good at, which is making 3D models. But we'll see. We'll see. You worked with Geno for a while, so I understand pretty well. Oh, you're making vines. Cool. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's a really cool way to use, or good way to use that type of systems. So yeah, cool. Right. There we go. Hmm. They certainly aren't the smoothest things to work with, but usually you aren't moving the camera while using them, so it's okay. That's fair. Yeah. Now I hope at one day they will reach a similar level as Houdini stuff. I do want to. So one thing that kind of drew me to Houdini back those years ago was the idea that you can actually implement tools for using the what's it called, Houdini engine. So you can use that inside Unreal. And I was kind of hoping that one day Blender's geometry nodes will be the same. I don't think they're at that point right now. I think you have to kind of assign or apply everything once you're done, then export it traditionally to Unreal. There might be some Python plugin someone made, but yeah, you wish that it could work in Unity. Well, maybe one day we'll see. And there might be a add-on out there that allows you to do it, but For now, I don't think that is possible. Who knows? Maybe one day. Yeah, a lot of checkers right now. And typing isn't my strong suit. Nope, it's not what I wanted. Let's go with that. Else, we need to make sure we give a log. Mover is null pointer, that makes sense. And if there is an add-on, it's more likely paid. I can see that being a thing. At the same time, I've seen so many amazing free stuff from the Blender community, so maybe one day. And Unity is noted for making you pay a lot. Okay, okay, you're referring to a Unity add-on. Yes, that is highly likely, considering the monetization plan scheme, whatever you want to call it, the Unity is currently working with. What was the last controversy Unity was in? Um, Something about oh yeah, AI, right? They wanted to implement some type of integrated AI into the engine. I think that was the latest thing I heard, that people were kind of upset with them. There are many of them, yeah. Since most of the original developers left, I'm not saying they were perfect. I'm just saying it seems to me that once all of them left, once the original developers left, they allowed the board that has a very different understanding of what the engine was made for. And the pricing when it comes to using it, yeah. That was last year, right? Or was it the 2000, was it 2023 when Unity had this idea of retroactively asking developers to pay for each download? Or was it for each install, download, and install? It had to be both, right? So if a player downloaded and installed their game, then retroactively the developer had to pay a small price to Unity. They didn't go through with it, but I think they wanted to, right? Which would have made no sense. Imagine you had games. I think there was a Pokemon game or two that was made with Unity. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. And if that was the case, that would be a lot of money. It was dumb. Yeah, it was really dumb. The backlash on that was tremendous. A good thing that came out of it, though, is that I think most people who left Unity went to Godot, which is always fun to see, like Godot as a open source engine be propped up. Uh, so yeah, that's a good thing. All right, that makes more sense. Uh, Instead of it's an old pointer, let's do this instead. That makes more sense. Uh, oh, that's not right. Oh, come on. There we go. Godot is up and coming. Yeah, I think it is. I've seen a lot more news about it, and it's definitely propping up more on my not popping up more on my YouTube feed. We're actually I'm also part of a project with a few friends of mine that we're creating. We're making a game, so uh, eventually that will be a thing, hopefully. But we're doing it on our spare times, and we're old men by now, so we do have family stuff and other obligations. So it's only when time allows it, so which would mean like an hour or two a week. So considering how long it takes to make games, yeah, would probably take quite some time. And it's also a new project. We've been working on it for I don't know, a month, 2 months, maybe. So similar to this project. So it's not really in any stages of being shown to anyone. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, that makes sense. So we're going to use this trigger component to trigger the movement of our door. So it makes sense then I need to find the boolean from the mover component that triggers whether or not the door should move. Makes a ton of sense. All right, so let's grab this. I'm gonna log uh, successfully found, of course, the mover component. And I'm gonna remove this part. Don't need to be screamed at. You were surprised to see how many people are using Fortnite to learn how to make games. Is it is it that surprising? I don't know the number, so maybe I will be surprised at the number. I haven't seen it. I do see. I mean, considering you have things like, oh, we do have ads on Twitch side, so I'm gonna answer that in a second. Uh, in the meantime, I'm gonna actually step up from my chair and and stretch my legs, and I'm gonna see if I can grab some coffee too. I think it's. I don't think I have any coffee, but either way. So I am, and I do recommend everyone to get up, just do some stretches. But I'll be right back. All right. It's got like 45 seconds left, but we'll see. Uh, Updated Weedy Wonder to achievements. Nice. How to play. I'm second guessing the speedrun timer though, due to how large and difficult the game is though. Um, Keep it in and have people play it. See if what they like. Sometimes you just need to test things out, right? If I'm looking forward to Resident Evil Requiem, I have I am not a avid player of the Resident series. Honestly, I haven't played a single one, but I have great respect for what it's like. Its plays as a horror game. It is without doubt one of the biggest horror IPs out there. So it's kind of hard not to have some respect for them. Right? Well, Twitch, welcome back. All right, so the question was, or rather, the statement was that we're surprised that many people use the Fortnite game, what you call it, game engine part, like using Fortnite or Unreal's Fortnite engine, is that what they call it, to learn how to make games. And I'm not that surprised, to be honest. Again, the numbers, I don't know, that might surprise me, but I'm not surprised that people are using it because of how big those types of it's not a game necessarily, but systems, let's call them systems are. You can go all the way back to Gary's mod, right? How that took off, how people love to make their own games. And then you have Roblox. Not a big fan of that either. And but then again, you can't really deny its impact and how many people just like to have a sandbox to play around. I think that is kind of where Epic is kind of trying to just feel around a bit just to see if they can kind of get something from that. Yeah, Roblox stuff is insane, and to be honest with you, I kind of want to stay away from it. Uh, I don't know what's true or not, but from what I can tell, it's not a good place. At least for young people, I wouldn't have them there. I don't know. It's weird. It's insane. That is insane. The numbers I've heard. I think they had. Is it monthly? I might be wrong. I think monthly they had something around the lines of 150 million users or active users monthly, which is sweeping everyone under the rug. Like no one can deal with that number. And if it's true, if that's the number we see monthly, then it is the biggest thing within gaming right now. Has to be. It only reminds me how Little Big Planet was ahead of its time. With it, yeah, I agree. Uh, yeah, absolutely. I think there is a silent part of gaming in general, where people just want to have a sandbox, just to play around, just make something fun for their friends. And if you can get past the hurdle, which is coding or your lack of experience creating models themselves, because it is a big thing to get over, then absolutely. If you can just have, hey, here's a list of models, they look great. It's a coding base. You can just connect these things, and then you have a game. Yeah, as MHL on YouTube side says, sandboxes are fun. Yeah, it is, and they tapped into that. I'm assuming even Minecraft to an extent kind of tapped into that part too. That you needed more than just drag and drop stuff. You needed some coding experience, but it is in a small sense Minecraft, or sorry, Sandbox, which is even more than now with Hytale. I'm looking forward to what Hytale can do. That seems like a lot of fun. And it's going to be interesting to see what people can do with Hytale moving forward. Once that is fully released, though, right now it's in beta, I think, released beta or early access. I haven't really dug into that part of the game in genre or the side of everything. Don't know much about it. So yeah. All right. That was the thing we wanted to do. We wanted to grab. Should the thing move? Yes. Oh, oh. Why are you doing this? I just want to do that. Thank you. So the idea is then for us, if we find the mover actor, we want to assign it to the mover variable. We also want to find the component by class first. And if that is not null, we want to set the variable should move to true. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. And now he's kind of making sure the code is working, so we're going to do that. I think we can do that without the rest of the tutorial. So I'm just going to close this down. We're going to relaunch. Let's do that. It was kind of fun when I launched the stream earlier. The first 10 minutes, I was really nervous because Unreal made everything lag. I was kind of nervous, and everything happened at once. All right, so what am I expecting? Warning: mover actor is null. Well, I guess that is expected, right? Yes, because I didn't. I closed down the engine without saving, so I'm assuming or storing the variable. So if I have to do this, I need to go down, I need to pick this. So if I now launch, warning, yeah, thank you. Successfully found the move component actor, and that moved up because I found the actor, I told it to be true, and now the thing moved. All right. Awesome. I'm expecting, or I'm assuming that is the expected triggers. Mm. Okay. Yeah, he's trying to show that if he founds the mover but not the the move actor but not the mover itself, because we assigned the wrong static mesh, then yeah. Yep, everything works. Awesome. Now he goes into true and false values. I think we could probably skip that. There's probably a few things in this I need to know, but I'm quite experienced with false and true statements, so we're just going to move on. Makes a ton of sense. Uh, Delegates. Should I learn about delegates? Probably important, but might skip it for the stream. I'm just gonna skip through it. So let's see what happens. Yeah, overlap events, important stuff. But he's just talking about, or maybe he isn't. Sorry, is he? Did he add that, or did he just show what it looks like? I think he's just showing what it looks like. Almost. No, he didn't. So he's doing something, and that's kind of wrong. Uh, so he's creating a function called uTree components. Is he? And he's using on component begin overlap add dynamic stuff. Okay, and end overlap, which is, I'm guessing, once you overlap the trigger box or exit the trigger box, something will happen, or I can tell it what to do. Yeah, move and false. Fair enough. Let's see, he's doing something right now. Yeah, he's copying stuff. Okay, fair enough. Well, where is he getting that information, though? It's kind of what I want to know, and the way we'll find that out is just looking at his URL. All right, Michelle, nice to have you here. Yeah, see you next time. And I'm going to stream on Friday, so if you can make it, that will be awesome. Let's see. Here we go. That's blueprint stuff. Can I copy this? That would be great. I do not want to write everything down. Maybe he even left it somewhere. Announcements. Mm. Okay, so there's this. Okay, how about that? There we go. I think this is better. Overlap again. That looks proper. Can I not copy that? Huh. So why can he copy this snippet and I cannot? Okay. That didn't go as the way I wanted it to go, so let's just do it this way instead. We're solving stale pointer. There's a way to prevent this from happening, right? And I think it wants to make it a U property. Then I will get rid of that warning. I don't know if it's the proper way to do it, but it is removing that warning telling it it's a potential garbage or will be potentially deleted because it will be assigned as garbage. Oh well. All right. So we want to make a view function, and we're going to call it void overlap on overlap. Sorry, not overlap, on overlap. And it's going to be begin. This needs to be a better way to do this. I don't want to make all of these things. Can I do it this way instead? Yes, but probably a lot of cleanup though. U function void class. Does that need to be gone? It looks like it does. This is where my experience shows. How do I remove a single word quickly? Can I do that? No, I'm not interested in AI. Why are you asking me this? All right, okay. Right. That looks fine. I'm also going to do this, which is I'm going to move these down because I feel like it's easier for me to tell what's going on if I do this. It might not be best practice, but it helps. There we go. I think the last time I did something with the U overlap or the on overlap again, I added it in the is it called the construct or the struct? The struct of my CPP class or file. Not sure why he's doing it this way. Maybe that is an easier way to do this. Oh well. Maybe you explain it. Oh, okay, right. That makes sense. I need to what's it called? Um, do that definition in yes. Right. But that is that true? Is that how it works? Apparently it does. Okay, so that red is nothing. All right, let's move on and do that. Perfect. Perfect. All right. This is done. I'll begin play. We call. Is that what it's called? A dynamic. Let's see. Use a class in. Oh, it's going to be used in this class. Is that how it works? And, and wait. Nope, that's not what we want. Why is it adding another? Right? Yeah, there you go. Right. Perfect. Thank you. Then on component exit or end overlap, add dynamic, this UTQ component overlap. I'm assuming it's this one. Yeah. All right. That makes sense. So we don't need this part anymore. Because, or rather, it will be moved. All right. I think I'm following. Member function can be made const. I guess so. Okay. So there's a few things that still kind of confuses me, but I'm guessing that is more to do how on it has more to do with how Unreal works and how they've set things up. Because we're not looking at basic C++ right now. We're looking at a Unreal version of C++, right? Because these components like on-combo and begin overlap, that is something specific for Unreal and not C++ as a language. If that makes sense. If it doesn't, please someone point it out. So I don't sit here in my confusion. Pete takes damage because of his own confusion. Oh, he's also checking again if mover, but am I not already doing that? Or is this something else? No, this is just checking whether or not it's a null pointer or something, right? Or maybe he expects that to be removed. Again, yes. All right. Let's just add it. Don't question it, just follow. Is there a faster way to do that? Can I do this? I can. There we go. Oh, perfect. I thought this needed a custom, what's it called? I can't remember the word, but it does feel like there's something missing, but it's working, so I'm assuming I'm the one who doesn't know what I'm talking about. Muhammad, welcome. How you doing? Hello. Yes, hello. Hello. Let's try this again. So, what I'm expecting based on what we've done so far is that once I enter the box shape, box collider, then the door should trigger, and once I exit, the door should close. And I should also receive a few messages in my output log. How I'm doing? I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Still a bit groggy from waking up, although it's been like 2 hours. I should wake up at any moment, but I'm almost 40, so I'm slow. My body takes its time with everything nowadays. I'm gonna move you down. I guess that's fine. We can fix that shape another time. So right now, nothing should happen. It did, however, find the mover component, which is great because that means this thing has the mover component. And if I do this, that happens. And if I step away, that happens. Perfect. Awesome. So there's a few things I'd like to do. First of all, I like to, although this works in this scenario, but I do want to add to the message from this guy, tell me where did I find the component? Who has the component, right? I think I want to do that. It's by no means necessary. I don't think this will impact anything other than me just trying it out. So we successfully found the mover component. But what I also want to do is this, and this is a string, right? Uh, no, let's do it. Successfully found the mover component attached to. Let's do that. And from this, I need to, yes, exactly. I need to do the mover stuff, but instead of get name, I'm going to get label. Is it? It's not. Is it name? Is it just name? I thought I had to get the label. No, because it's the mover component, the mover component. Okay, so that's not what I want then. No. Can I do this? Can I do this? I can. So if I get the owner instead, which is the actor the component is attached to, I can then do get actor name or label. No, not name. Actor name or label. Because I do it this way, what's going to happen is that I'll see the name of the actor, which in this case should be door shape something, instead of, all right, yeah, I think that's fine. So let's do this. Let's do Control Alt F11, which is a quick key or hotkey for Unreal's live coding to activate. And there we go. And if I do this, so I found the water component, mover component attached to room door shape. Just room door shape. There you go. And if I step into this, it will trigger this. Step off. Perfect. It's almost like I know what I'm doing, which is not true. I have no idea. I just do. I'm a sheep right now. I'm just following orders. That's all. In the end, though, I do hope that all of this learning will help me in the future, because one thing I'd like to do using this trigger system is that the player should carry something from, let's say, a vase. It doesn't really matter what it is, but carry that thing into this trigger, and that will activate something in the future. I'm not sure if it's going to be like a moving door. So one of the design pillars I have for my game is uh, the idea of grounded horror, which means I want things to be relatable to reality. And how many people would have a, a moving mechanism of a door that goes up and down like that? Probably not a lot of people, if any. Are you considering getting voice actors for the game? So, in like an ideal world, yes, I would love to. The thing is, I have limited budget. I don't even know s- like with certainty that this game is actually fun. So my goal right now is make sure I get this out as a demo or a minimal viable project, have people play it, and based on feedback, if people like it, if I get the feeling at least that people like it, and I myself like it, then I'll move forward to make a bigger game. And if that works out, I would likely look into voice actors because I do feel like it could add a lot to the game. That said, we'll see. We'll definitely see. It is a budget question though, because I don't have much money to like throw onto this thing. I do have some cash, so I could, but I'm not a rich streamer. I do this on my spare time, so everything has to come from my regular work. You got yours from Reddit. There's a plenty of people that will do it for free. They want the experience. Oh, okay. I'll consider that though. I like the idea of paying people though. I understand that there are those who uh, engage in this for free, and that's perfectly fine. I don't see any problems with that. I personally like to say, if you do work for me, you should be paid. That's how I feel. Hamster, how you doing? Yeah, hey, how you doing? We're talking voice actors. I got the question over on YouTube whether or not I want to add voice actors to my game. I'm definitely considering it. It's a good question though, Roberto, because I need to consider these things. And yeah, definitely, I love the idea of adding voice actors. How's it going? It's going great. I'm learning to code, Hamster. I'm learning to code, or rather, I'm learning how to look at someone else coding and copy what they're doing. Does that make sense? All right. And right now, what we have, this is so cool. All I have is this, a trigger, and I can get it on and off. There you go. And let's see. Oh, I don't like these challenges. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So he's adding a new property variable. So let's do that. And he's doing that in the trigger component. That makes sense. Oh, that's not the one. Edit anywhere. Oh, that's not the one. Edit anywhere. Do I want to make it blueprint readable? Maybe in the future. So we want a bool, which he called his pressure plate equals false. Not sure why he's calling it that, but let's go with it. We're going to make that false. There we go. Okay. So it's a way to turn the trigger box on and off. Is that what it's trying to do? Because so the idea that I'm getting from this is, see, it's on begin play, right? Yes. So what we want to do is this. So we want to check if is pressure plate is true. If it is true, I need to learn if I can do this the better way. Yeah, there you go. I can do that. So I'm guessing now that this is attached to and available to me in the pressure plate or the trigger box variables, detail tab, yeah, detail tab, and it's set to false, which means that if I try it right now, I do have to restart the engine though. If I try it now, it shouldn't trigger because it's set to false because it's telling me this is not a pressure plate at this point. Okay. Okay. So the idea, I guess, then is that we'll trying to make this more usable than in one scenario. Since it's a trigger component, I'm assuming I could use it for other parts. Is pressure play will be a very specific thing, but I can probably make it like something to a is audio trigger or something similar. I guess that makes sense. So let's see, where is Unreal? I need to do this. Let's do save. Oh, I'm still in game. Okay, let's do that. Let's turn this off. So we was talking about delegates. I got half of that, so still not an expert. And now we're using something called what? The tag system. That makes sense. I'm not sure why we would use the tag system in this case, but tags are great. So I'm just going to check whether or not this worked. And where are you? I should make this easier. Okay. Let's do this. Is pressure. No? Oh, it needs to be on the trigger. There you go. Is pressure plate? No. So based on that, nothing should happen. Find the component actor, tested room door. Yeah, there you go. And walking on this thing, nothing happens. Turn it off. Go to trigger again. We're going to zoom down. We're going to make it a trigger or pressure plate. Sorry, where are you? Am I blind? There we go. Is pressure plate? Yes. Do this. Walk over it. Triggers. Perfect. Walk off. Perfect. All right. Progress. Where are we, by the way, on ads? Got 11 minutes. Perfect. Hmm. I do follow tutorials quite often, but I do feel it takes a lot longer than expected to finish them. From my experience, if I follow a tutorial, it usually takes 3 times as long as the length of a tutorial, which makes sense because you have to stop, you have to do it yourself, then play again, stop, play, pause, play. So 3 times is probably a decent speed if that is the case. Mm, there we go. Uh, okay, so we're looking at the fact that my component or trigger component right now doesn't check whether or not it is a player. It will be activated no matter what. Yeah. Okay. Oh, so that's what we need the tags because we can then tell it to set. The tag would then tell it that. Okay, I can't talk at the same time. Him being in the it's a weird situation. Him talking. God damn it, him talking at the same time I'm trying to talk makes it really hard to talk. So I should stop when that's happening. Either way, yeah. So the idea here is now he's talking about the fact that anything can trigger the moving of the door. So we need something that can stop that and make an actor component, static mesh, or in this case, the player, unique by adding tags. I'm assuming that is the idea of this. Right. Yeah. Tags. Yeah. He's making a tag and he's adding a tag called Pressure plate activator. That is one hell of a word. But that makes sense. So what we need to do is go to blueprints. We can open player. We can launch player. And can I do it from here? Let's see. Can I do a tag? Do I need to specify? I think I can do it from this part. Pressure plate activator. I think that is fine. By the way, Hamster, how did the boss fight go? Did you figure it out? Last time I joined you on stream, you were looking at some, I believe it was a Cyclops boss, wasn't it? Mm. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that would make sense. Let's do compile, sandbox. Let's just save. What he's doing makes a ton of sense. So what we want to do is we can do a if statement, and the overlap again gives us something called other actor. If I can spell, and this allows us to has tag. Was it actor has tag? Yeah, and we want to, of course, which makes sense. We want to check whether or not it has this tag, and if it does, then this will happen. No, there's more to this, right? Nope, that is it. Yep. Okay, so we're gonna save. Roberto, you are saying something. I watched a bunch of tutorials when I first started learning game dev. Yep. But now I mostly use Copilot or ChatGPT. They explain things in a way that actually makes sense to me. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I am personally not against the idea of using AI to learn. I think it's important, though, to keep learning and doing it for you separate. But absolutely, I think it is an advanced way of searching up answers, and it does give it to you often in a very what should you call it, structured way. So I've definitely done the same, and I will probably use like Claude or something like that during this development. We'll see. I'll try to keep it to minimum though. If I can do it by myself, I'll do it. If I need to find an answer, learn a new concept, then yeah, definitely. Oh, fair enough. I mean that this makes a ton of sense. Of course, I need to do the same for this thing. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Wait. Oh, God, what's going on in my head? I just lost uh, my train of thoughts. This is what I want to do, but it's not working. Why not? You have many triggers in your game. It's depressing. Really? Well, if there's there for a reason, then that's fine, right? There we go. I had it set to English layout rather than the Swedish layout. I mean, I've seen the thing. I my approach to game development right now is I don't care about how well structured the project is. Of course, to an extent, I do. I don't want it to be a big mess. But at the same time, if that idea of keeping things clean or following a very structured way of working comes in the way of me making the game, then what's the point? I want to make the game. I'd rather make a game poorly made than not make a game at all. Does that make sense? It's not a perfect way of that description doesn't really completely follow the way I want to do things, but it's close enough. I'd rather have something unoptimized up there rather than something optimized but never released or never made. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Both are not ideal scenarios, but I'd rather do it that way than not at all. And yeah, and it's depressing also. Well, you shouldn't feel like it's depressing. You do what you need to do to make it work. What's this? Is it working? I'm not going to test it. I'm assuming it's going to work. How many games have I failed to make? Oh God, do you want to start this? How long do you have? I only have like an hour left of stream, so I might not be able to do all of them. But it's more than half a dozen to probably. All right, so let's see. It started back in college, which is 2010 ish, 2010, 2013. I tried a few games during that time. That failed. Had a few years between that. I tried a few games. That failed. Um, During college, because I went to another college, which was more of a vocational college. So I got 2 years there. I did make a few games, but more like demos. But they never released because they were part of school. After that, worked for a few years. Worked for a few game dev studios. Yeah, it's a list. It's a big list, and I think we a break on Twitch side. We do. So I'm gonna stretch make my legs, like I mentioned earlier. I'm not a young stud anymore. I haven't been a stud though, but I'm not young anymore, so I need to stretch. So I'll be right back. Would your school even let you make money from your game if it turned out really good? It's a good question. I think they would. They didn't claim the ideas or rights. It was just a school. Some did make a game, I think, but they did it after school. Like once they were done, once they graduated from that school, then they did think make the game, I think. So welcome back, Twitch. I just got a question. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I told this during ad breaks. The school I went to um, had me make a few games. There was a game dev at school, so it makes sense, right? And the question was, what were we allowed to use those game ideas to then make proper games and sell them? And I do want to remember that we were allowed. The school didn't claim it, so yeah. Oh yeah, it's good. I mean, the school. So the thing about Sweden is the schools usually, if they do their things correctly, they get money from government. So this wasn't a private school, so they were all run by um, taxpayers' money. A lot of tax here in Sweden. I think someone made that said that we pay somewhere between 50 to 60% of our monthly allowance. But then again, then you have to think the allowance is around. Uh, all of that goes to society in general, but it also goes to my pension, my retirement, things like that. So it's money I'll hopefully see later on in life. So once I retire, I'll have a decent monthly income. So it's not like they steal it to use it on something else. They just kind of know, you know what, we're going to put this to the side. So when you get old, you'll get something back. That's what it is. Did I pay for my school? No, I did not. Well, no, but what I did was I took on a loan, but we do have a really the best word for this would be it's not a burdensome loan. So it's a specific loan you can take as a student or the words right now. If you go to school in Sweden, if you're a not a member of this country, that's the wrong one. If you live in Sweden, if you're a citizen, thank you, that's the word, citizen of Sweden, you're allowed to grab a loan, what we call a student loan, which I'm sure other countries do have student loans, but it's the rate on that, or the interest rate on those loans are like nothing. And you get 50 years to pay back or something along those lines. So it's very easy on your finances. And I took a loan in order to get by because I didn't want to work at the same time. So I do take. I think they ended up being somewhere around 6, 7, or $8,000 in total. So it's not a lot, but I did my student loans so are a bit bigger than the average because I decided in a moment of genius, which I do not regret doing this, by the way. I do not regret doing this, but I went to the States for 2 years to study. And I did that during 2008 to 2010. I studied with the idea of also playing sports on the side. So I play golf, which is quite the journey, right? I went from playing golf the majority of my life until I was like 20, 21. Got to college in the US, got a scholarship. I think I got 70 or 80% of my scholarship paid for. But in the end, that was still expensive because I had to take a loan because I didn't work during the time. So I paid the school, I paid for lodging, I paid for everything, and decided golf was not my thing. And the college, the level I was learning at really didn't fit what I was expecting. So I went back home to Sweden and started over again. 8,000 for the whole thing. How many years were you there? Okay, so some nuances that I lived in Stockholm, which is one of the more expensive cities in Sweden. I was able to rent an apartment. I did have some cash because I worked for a few years. And the school itself were not were paid. I didn't have to pay for the school. What I did have to pay for, though, I did have to take a bit of loan in order to pay for my apartment food. So none of those 8,000s did actually go to the school itself. I had that. I used that just to live for those years, and that was a 2-year vocational, higher vocational school. So 4,000 a year, roughly, give or take. And that was just to live, which is expensive in Stockholm. God damn, it's so expensive. Nothing compared to like California, or I've heard places like Quebec and maybe not Quebec, but some places in Canada. I've heard numbers, which doesn't really rivals California, I think. But yeah, so so those 8,000, give or take, few hundreds, is a very rough estimate, and also just for living expenses. All right, let's see if we can get through a few more videos. It's a dumb price over there. I'm assuming then, Roberto, you're American. Is that true? Yeah, the like 90% of my student loans that I still have is American. The loan I took for to study in the US, and it's not within a thousands. It's at least 4 or 5 digits. 5 digits, is that what you call it when you have 5 digits? Yeah. So yeah, and I don't know. It's insane to me. If the quality was high, then I could understand the idea of paying a lot. But my first year, this is the thing though. My first year in the US when I studied, I were awarded a diplomacy or a small plaque saying, "Hey, you were in, I think it was top 6% of the freshmen at school." So it's like, hell yeah, thank you, that's nice. They did misspell my name, but thank you, right? But the thing is, I did not read a single line of all the books I bought, and they were expensive too. I paid a few hundreds for all the books I needed. I did go to class. I did take notes. But once I got back, I sat down and played World of Warcraft, and Wrath of the Lich King was out, so of course I did. But I got a 3 point something, 3.7 or was it 3.4? I can't remember. 3.7. I think I got a 3.7 out of 4 for my first year because the first year at college, this particular college, was just a repeat for me. I just went through my last year of high school again, pretty much, in terms of what I learned. So I had that advantage and I could really relax. The thing is, though, it turned out to be a disadvantage because when it came to the second year, which is called sophomore, then I felt really, I was overconfident, didn't do a lot of studying, which I should have done, and turned out I dropped in grade. So do not do what I did and become complacent and just study. If you're in school, study. Not for anyone else's sakes other than yours. Just do that. Grades, as important that they seem to be, and they do have a place in your life. Once you're done with college, your grades will just disappear. They mean nothing afterwards. At least my experience. Okay, that's my experience. My experience is that once you're done with college, it's more of a hey, I've done college type of thing. Oh, well, it was great. No one will ask you that. No one will ask you about your grades. In my experience, it was more like, oh, we've seen you've been to college. Yes. All right. Next. It's like, okay, thank you. And usually, when it comes to game development, I feel like your portfolio, at least from artist side, I guess you would also say coding and designer, but as a artist, I can mostly speak for myself on that part. That is, you look at either first your resume and then your portfolio, or the other way around, portfolio then your resume. They don't rarely have asked about my college or education. It's always been, hey, you made this thing, it looks great. Can you tell us more about it? That's usually the thing. And I'm not trying to discourage people from studying or going to college. You should definitely do it if you feel like that is what you need to get into the profession you want. You're saying portfolio, side projects, probably more important, to be honest. I'm trying to tell that to a friend of mine. He's right now in college and he is having a rough time. But I'm like, yeah, but you need to do things after school. I know I understand you want to play games. Oh god damn it, I so wanted to play games. But it's don't do that too much. Let's downside your playtime while you're in college, which hurts, I know, but just do it and focus on a side project that's relevant to your education. Don't burn out, of course. Try to pace yourself. But it's better to like if you want to get into, I don't know, games. Well, an education will take you a distance. But if you really want to get into it, you need to show that I'm not just going through college. I'm actually passionate about this. I make my own stuff. I made this thing. I've done this thing. I worked on this thing. All of these were failed, but I learned this and that, this and those. Just do that. That's probably my biggest recommendation. If you want to get into the industry, do side projects, make games, make models, make code. Just do it. Wait, what? Have I lost myself? Oh, of course. We need to check whether or not other actor actually exists. Okay, fair enough. That's a lot of checks. That's a lot of check, check, check. But we're trying to look at something else. Yeah, this I know. So we're gonna skip this. He's talking about the is it called what is it called again? The double and operator. Like logic operator. So we can skip that part. I'm assuming we're going to combine some of these checks. Mhm. Yeah, 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 yeah. Can we skip this part? Yeah. Yeah, I expected this much. It's kind of what I expected. And so what we're going to do now is he did that. Do I want to do that, or do I want to do it slightly different way? No, I'm just going to do this. So what he did was they added another actor, and he just did the, no, that's not what I wanted. There we go. No. Okay. Pressing all the right buttons right now. There you go. That is what I did, and that makes sense. So I'm just going to copy this over to this part. I mean, no. Okay. So here's my brain fart, right? My idea. If I did this, do the, and if this is true, then do this. Should I do another and check the mover at the same time? Or is this just a lot easier to read? Less complicated in the long run. Are you going for visual realism with this game or something that can run on a bunch of devices like mobile? My platform right now is PC, and it's going to be on the higher end of fidelity. Um, and I'm mostly doing that because one, that is where my experience lies. I've mostly focused on realism, although not hyper realism, but leaning heavily into realism. And the reason I'm only focusing on PC is the less platforms I have, the less I have to learn about coding and the technical stuff. And I want to keep this project simple, mostly because of my I lack certain experiences and I'm the sole developer. So in order to keep this even feasible for me to do, then I need to keep it simple. So we'll see how far I'll go. I'll definitely. So one of my mantras, or one of the design pillars I'm using for this game is simplicity. Just that word, simplicity. And they just to tell me, keep it effing simple. You just don't go overkill. Make sure you have everything that you need. Just keep it simple. Sorry, I got distracted. My phone went off. I was reminded I need to go and get my passport done tomorrow. Oh, and all of you need to know that, right? That I am fixing my passport. That's so dumb. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, perfect. Ooh, now we're doing refactoring. This is not the end? What is this? Oh, that's true. Yeah. So he pointed out, which, I mean, completely makes sense. I didn't notice it, but it makes sense what he's saying. And that is, we're pretty much doing the same thing twice. These two are in all like it's pretty much the same, apart from what the returned value or the newly set value is, if that makes sense. So I'm assuming we're going to create a new function, and we're just going to, yeah, we're going to just going to make a new function, I believe. We're making a new variable. Okay, I'm not sure why yet, but fair enough. Fair enough. Just making it editable anywhere, right? No, visible. That's fair enough. Visible anywhere. We're going to make it a boolean, and we're going to make it is triggered. The initial value is false. I'm also going to do this as a preemptive move because we're going to have to do that either way in the moment. So he's working quite differently. I'm used to not declaring this, but you would create the name and trigger. I'm not sure if is this called declaring or just initializing the trigger or the function up here, right? You would do like a void, call it whatever. But he's doing it in the header. I'm not sure why that is a better practice. If it is, it's just his preference. Don't know. So he's doing it under this part. If any like coder could explain this to me, why is it I am creating the or instantiate whatever it's called? Why am I doing this part right now, which is defining? No, it's not the right word. Either way, why am I doing this? Why in this part, not inside the CPP class or CPP file? Why is that? I'm assuming I'm supposed to do this. Okay. So what we're doing right now is we're telling it that whatever this owner is, which in this case will be the box shape, if it doesn't have a trigger, we should tell it. So therefore I need to do, this is really how it's going to work. Get owner, get actor name or label, and I need to add the asterisk before this. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, makes sense. Ton of sense. So the function is right there. Then it's stating it could be const. I'm not going to make it const. It could be, but I'm not going to. So this one will now be true. I'm going to copy this. And we're going to replace this entire snippet. But we're going to set this to false. So very simple example of what a refactoring and code in general should look like. So yeah. So that. There we go. Okay. Yep. He's just explaining why we're not moving everything like this part. That makes sense. This is very unique scenario, and now we made the trigger, which is, I guess, would be more usable. It's more modular. This keeping it as is. Uh, Okay, so we're doing some other check right now. Okay. I'm not sure if it's absolutely needed, but I'm guessing it's great practice. And that is, we're going to make this a check of whether or not this has been triggered before. So what we're doing now is we're checking if is trigger is false, or it's not true in this case, which will make it false, right? Or the opposite of what it is. I've never really been able to verbally explain what this does. But it's more like, okay, if is triggered is false, I guess in this case, then do this things, then trigger it. Yeah. So then we're going to do an if triggered, no, if this is true, do this. Oh, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Go. All right, so that is done with the refactoring. Now it's going to talk about public and private. I'm guessing we could probably speed through this one. Yeah. Can it be accessed outside? Exactly. That's Data hiding. Okay. Interesting. Setter and getters. Fair enough. Okay, so we're talking about getters and setters, and I understand the principles of those things, like get get something and set something. Fair enough, and I understand how private works. What I'm trying to figure out right now, and he's trying to say explain at the same time, is whether or not why we are doing this. What is the best practice? And that's trying to understand right now. And he did mention something about making things private can protect. It is a way to make things safer. Is that how we're looking at? That's a poor explanation from my side, but I'm not really understanding what's going. Yeah. Okay. So a few things. First, he wants us to, or is it? Is it part of the mover? Oh, it's in the mover. Of course it is. So we're going to make this mover should now be set to private. Right. That makes sense. Okay. So we're going to grab this entire thing like so. We're going to make a private section. And in this private section, we're going to add this part. And as he did, instead of edit, we're going to make it visible. So the assumption I'm going with right now is instead for what I can do right now, I can go to the blueprint in Unreal and I can uncheck or check whether or not this uh, Boolean should be true or false. But what I'm looking at, what we're trying to do, I think, is we're going to make it in code instead, uh, rather than it in a enable and disable box. I believe that is what we're trying to do. So we need it to be private because we do not want this to be accessed in publicly, just private. All for the reasons still eluding me, but I will get there. Optimizing is something I'm trying to get better at in Unreal. There are a lot of tools. I just haven't mastered them. Dude, that will take some time. And it's part of it. I mean, so the way I look at it, yes, it will take time, which could be a depressing feeling like, oh shit, there's so much things to learn. But at the same time, you're never going to run out of things to learn, which is kind of nice if you look at it that way. Because the day I'm not learning stuff is the day I'm probably going to be bored as hell. But yeah, it is a daunting task to look at everything you need to learn, and dude, just keep at it. You'll get there. You get to a point where you feel like, you know what, I know what I'm doing right, or even more fun. The idea of the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. That's also something you need to live with, and yeah, a lot of fun. But yeah, as long as I can learn stuff, I'm happy. Okay, so why though are we making this? Is I don't know. Well, I do get the let's get the should move uh, option, right? This I'm completely with this part. Why it's in the mover though? That's another thing. So we also want a function which is set should move, and instead of should move, let's make it a new should move, which makes sense in my head because instead of saying, hey, you set the should move, no, we're going to grab a new version, a new value, then add that to the should move. That makes sense. Okay. And of course, we're going to do this and going to return should move. Yep, makes sense. And this one, generate, boom. And I'm guessing this is correct. Whoa, 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 wait, what? Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay, I was wondering, I'd skipped a part and it's like, well, wait, why are we in the trigger component? Did I make this in the wrong place? No, I didn't. It's just that this section will now, apparently, or have I not done this correctly? Oh, there you go. I'm just hitting it. That, yeah, this tells me, hey, there's something wrong. And that makes sense. That makes sense. All right, because that mover. Oh, now, okay, now it makes more sense. We're creating that function in mover. What happened? Did I press something? I didn't. Because it if I add this component to new actors, those instead of having to repeat that get. Okay, so this is how I'm kind of getting this. The idea of the mover component is that it should be able to be added to multiple objects. And if I do that, the get should move and get or set and set should move will be coming along that component. Therefore, other triggers component can access as long as they grab the mover header and things like that. They should be able to access this get function instead of creating that get function in a specific, like very unrelated code. Now I have it in a code that in the mover, which is related to everything. I'm not sure if that makes sense. Yeah, it's like learning to swim in a pool versus swimming in the ocean. Level design, audio, cutscenes, modeling, they're all their own oceans that may take years to master. If you want to master them, absolutely. If you want to use them and apply things from them, it's more like a lake rather than an ocean. But yes, your point is still there. Yes. If you want to master something, I think it's almost universal no matter what you're trying to master. It is like looking at the oceans like, holy, why am I doing this? Which is why I always recommend, and if we keep it to that ocean um, visualization, is that instead of looking at the ocean and trying to master everything, how about just grabbing a cup of just a cup of glass, a glass. But you just grab a glass, you just scoop out some water and taste the ocean first. You start there. And if you, this is such a bad example. Instead of jumping in water, just dribble the water you have in the ocean, just dribble whatever you have in the glass on top of yourself. So the idea is that you just make small bits. Just don't jump into the ocean straight away. Just take small bits of the ocean and learn. So maybe ocean isn't the best example. At least I should probably use a different example. But it does visualize what you're trying to say is that it is big, it's vast, and it takes years. Yeah, absolutely. And also, it's something I wanted to say earlier. We were talking about making games and failing, and that could be seen as a mistake. Sure, or a mistake or a failure. Sure, fair enough. But the thing is, I can't remember where I heard this from, or if it's I think it's a Chinese proverb or a Chinese way of saying things, and that is the master isn't the one. No, someone who has mastered something, they don't know they didn't do everything correct right away. Someone who's mastered something is someone who's made all the mistakes and learned from them. So that's why a failed project, although maybe feeling you might be discouraging, at the same time, it's also the way for us to learn, right? And you can make that comparison to athletes or sports. If you're the best of something, chances are it's hard to motivate yourself because there's no one in front of you to kind of learn from. You're always, everyone's in the back. So if you go from the one who's the best of something and then had to go back, then you can see what the other guy who's now the best does, and you can learn from them. It's kind of similar situation as making mistakes or failures. Learn from failures. Don't view them as something negative. Just view them as something positive because now you can be better because you can learn. I guess that is the long-winded way of me saying just take it with a grain of salt and or not with a grain of salt. Just take it with your chin. Is that how you say it? You know what? I'm just gonna stop. Learn from your mistakes. There we go. There we go. All right. And this is now is triggered instead of this part. There we go. So this new one grabs is triggered, which I set right there. And I'm telling it, hey, you should assign it to this is triggered. And mover now has set should move and is triggered. Yeah, perfect. All right, see if we have learned something. Because we do have this guy. So I'm going to do the same for this guy. So we're going to remove it like so. We're going to move it to the private section like so. Which now means, I believe, there's going to be some errors somewhere. Or I'm not using that, am I? Where am I using this? Can I see that? There's a way to see where I'm using these, right? Class mover. There we go. I don't think I'm using it in trigger, though. So instead, what we'll do is this. Let's do a bool get reach target. Let's do that. Do this. Return reach target. Fair enough. Awesome. Sorry, 1 second. Yep. Okay. Next, then, as in a similar way we did before, is that we should create a void, reach set new. Perfect. Definition, do that. And this one should reach target is new reach target. Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, that makes sense. So what he mentioned now is this section happens on every take, which is not optimized. Because every take also means when I'm not even triggering it or not even close to it, as long as the actor has spawned in the world, then it will look at this like, oh, should I move now? No. Should I move now? No. So, yeah, it makes sense to move it somewhere. So he wants us to set it to move it to this section right there. Is that what I want? Does that make sense? This one is called so on begin play tick. Not ticking. Okay. I'm not sure I'm following this completely, but the idea. Let's try it out. So in mover, let's go move this section. into this part. And I'll begin play. I want to do set should move, but not true. I want it to be false, because on begin play, we want it to be told not to move. Right. But the thing I'm not understanding, and I'm trying to figure this out, so this part. This part is apparently called every frame, is it? If I reached tick, super tick, current location, yeah. Have I reached the target, then do this. No, okay. Okay, no, so reach target equals this. So if this is not true, then do this. If it is true, or if it is true, then don't do it, okay? But where is it that he claims I'm doing this every tick? I can't really see that right now. Let's see. Let's do that. So if this is true. Oh, right. Wait. So I'm triggering it, right, in this part. So when this thing, this script is telling me the set or should move is now true, then it checks this part. Is this true? Then target location is now start location plus move offset. Okay, so it then goes back to this part. And it's telling me, hey, this is now correct. Is that how I'm supposed to? Is it how I'm meant to interpret? So if this is true, no, it's just not. If it's not what it's currently assigned, oh god, this is why I'm not not a coder. I'm trying to figure this out. Oh, okay, we can ignore that part. So the process is this: every frame, assuming every frame it looks for this part. That I know, and every frame it checks this section. All right, so okay, so this comes down to, I believe this is false. So this thing will be false until it equals this part. So false is this. Is that how it works? Is this just saying? Isn't this more like, hey, reach target is now false, and check if it's now true? Is that not how it works? God damn it! No, no. I'm thinking wrong. This is true. No matter what this value says, this just means, hey, if the reach target is true, then do these things. But that's not what I want. I want it to do, come on, this part. So as long as reach target is false, do all of these things. So once this is true, then stop doing those things. That's fair. Okay. That's just a close. This thing over here is triggering and say, hey, I'm now triggered. Not mad. I'm just saying, hey, something's happening on my side. Now, should move is true. Yeah, exactly. If other actor exists, if it's true, and if other actor is a pressure plate is true, then go in here and say, hey, is this false because it's not triggered? Then trigger is true. And if trigger is true, oh sorry, if trigger then sets, okay, let's go to trigger, because trigger looks at this part and is setting, hey, new variable comes in, now it is triggered. And if that's, yeah, then it checks, okay, so this part is not triggered, and if mover exists, which it does, then do this. And now that is true. God damn it. This cycle of trues and false. Let's do a pause on those. All right, so now it's triggered and should move is set to true. So this is the part that confuses me. I understand now that this activates because of set is true, but shouldn't this thing be first be activated? When is that happening? Oh, because of this part. This is now telling, oh, because we are triggering set should move each time. As long as we're standing on the trigger mechanism or inside the box, this thing triggers. This is triggering each time, each frame. This thing happens each frame. Therefore, this thing happens each frame. Okay, I'm thinking I'm getting it. I'm thinking I'm getting it. All right, that's fair. So let's try it out, see if it works. I do want some music, so I'm just gonna put on some music again. Monitor. There we go. All right, so I'm expecting this to be like so. We're also going to do this. Let's select this part and then mover. And as we can see, as long as I'm not in the trigger box, should move is set to false. Yes. I'm offsetting about 250 once it is set as should move, and speed or move time is for seconds, I believe. All right, so let's go F8 again, move forward. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna go do this, this. That's not true. All of these are fine. Select this part, get the trigger. Is pressure plate? Yes. And it's looking for this thing. Is triggered? It is. How about that? If I do that and step off, still working though. Not sure why. I see other games are even shorter, selling for $1 to $5. So I'm just looking for a second opinion. So can you expand a bit, Robert? Your question is whether or not I think it's reasonable to ask for $1 to $5 for a 30-minute game. Is that what your question is? Uh, Islam Code. I have a question as a game dev. What do you think of this industry, like those big companies that make millions, and at the end they gave the engineer like 0.1%? Why? Well, um, It's as any industry, if your contract with the employee is for a salary that is a set amount, then that is the amount you will get. Some studios, not all of them, and unfortunately very few, give out bonuses. But if that's not part of the contract that you agreed to as a employed individual, then that is what you get. It's down to your agreements with another individual, or in this case, a studio. So if you're an engineer and what you do is really um, very crucial to the project of that studio, then you can say, well, I do also want this thing to my contract. And if they say, yeah, that makes sense, then you will get that, hopefully. So it kind of comes down to that. They are under no obligations to give out more than what the contract states. And we can argue back and forth whether or not that is reasonable or moral or ethical. It comes down to um, your contract. Um, Personally, I think that in an ideal world, we will share the fruits of our labor a bit more. But that is just my personal opinion. Like, it's kind of like the contract I have in my current studio. I can't ask for more than what's in the contract because that is what I agreed to. I agreed to work 40 hours for this. And if I don't like that, I have to move. That's kind of my points on this. But again, I would love to see more trickling down of profits to the developers because, I mean, without them, without us, it's just not feasible to make all of these million big games, right? Would you pay for a game that's under an hour long? Mine is around 30 minutes, so I feel like it should be free. Ah, ooh, I mean, it's hard for me to give you a concrete, like, this is the answer. But the thing I do know is this. I personally might actually pay for a 30-minute experience. Yeah, absolutely. If it's 10, like in my currency, 10, 20 kroners, or that will be a dollar, $2. Though I think it's a hard sell and you have to really intrigue me. So if you really show me some great um, trailers and things like that, I think there's a market for it. And I've seen people pay more for less. Yes. But each time, it's like that graph, right? Supply and demand. The graph, or is it supply demand? I can't remember. Or is it demand and price? Can't remember. If you increase your price, your demand will go down. If you decrease the price, your demand will go up. Uh, I'd say maybe release a 10-minute demo, see what people think, and if they're liking what you made, then maybe you can tell them, hey, I'm also going to sell this. If you want to like sponsor my future projects, I'm going to sell a 30-minute version for $1 or $2. I mean, I'm a software engineer and I work hard to make features, fixing bugs, etc. Yeah. And I mean, the game engineers, they work really hard, and I mean that, but at least I got a good pay. Yeah. Uh, and I think if you do good work, if you're valuable, you should be compensated for that. You should get the money you deserve. And that is probably where the game dev industry, or the game industry in general, is lagging behind a bit. And why also we see a lot of good, talented engineers are leaving um, the um, the markets and going over to to more, let's call it, traditional engineering jobs. I'm just saying that because of games is a relatively new market. I'd hope to see more talented people be compensated properly and increase in pay, but it also comes down to it's harder to make it's harder to predict whether or not a game will go well. So that side of business I do understand. It's hard to give out those pays if we can't really have a safe profit margin. But then again, you see these, you go back a few years, I think it was 2018, where I think it was Blizzard Entertainment, or at least Activision Blizzard. They made the best year ever, made almost $2 billion, but they also fired almost 1,000 people or something like that. It's like, makes no sense. It's still immature um, business games, and I don't know why. It's almost been like what, 60 years. I would hope to see a more mature market, a more mature industry in the future. And of course, people should be compensated. If you work hard, if you do your job in a way that no one else can do, or at least in a way that very few people can do, then you should be paid properly. Oh, and also I'm pausing the ads. You'll still see the message in chat, but I'm pausing it. That's the last message. Was my last snooze though, so no more after this. So, but I'm gonna end it soon because I'm looking at it's the time. It's almost 8:45, and I got my actual job starting at 9. So I got 20 minutes to eat breakfast and things like that, but no rush. I'm having a blast. So yeah, Roberto, I hope I answered your question, by the way. It's not something you can just give a yes or no answer to. From a personal perspective, I would probably pay. Yeah. You brought it up because someone made a game where you play as a coconut lying on a beach for $5, and it drove me crazy low. I mean, that's the thing. You don't know. Try it. Uh, Again, okay. Is this your magnus opus? Is this the game you're making? Like the game you want to everyone to remember you by? Or is it a game you're learning to be a better game developer by doing? If it's the latter, then maybe give it out for free. Is it also does this affect your finances in a way that it's really important for you to make money? Or is it just, again, a learning experience? If it's a learning experience, just release it for free, or maybe ask for $1 if people like it, and find ways to maybe release it on Patreon or something. And if people are willing to give you some money, they might do it. Or it's just your way of saying, "Hey, I'm a dev. This is what I make. Do you like it? You do? Oh, awesome. Then if you want to sponsor me for my next project, I'm planning on doing this. I'm going to do more of this thing you liked. So if you like that, please consider giving me some cash, because it would help." So you do really need to market yourself in a way that makes sense for people. And if if people are willing to pay $5 for a coconut game, then maybe they are willing to pay $5 for a horror game. There's no really black and white answer to it, unfortunately. Otherwise, I will be doing it. If I could get people to pay $5 for my game, then absolutely. Sorry, I would. Again, it comes down to a lot of stuff. All right. You play a come on, it's games. People have done worse. I mean, there's games out there where you play a crab. People just want to be entertained. And if there's a moment they're like, you know what, I'm in a mood. I'm just in a mood. I don't want to think about the world. And this game looks like it will be a weird experience. People like weird stuff. I mean, you should go back to the 90s looking at the games, or not the games, but the toys we had back then. Or, yeah, I don't know. I understand your kind of frustration. I get it, Roberto. I do get it. I do get it. It is a coconut and people play it. But it's a big world, and people play things in the moment that they just like, I don't know. You do oh, it's like a nothing game. You do nothing. Okay. That's a bit weird. If it's a coconut that does nothing, okay, then maybe that's a weird thing. You know what? If it makes no sense to you, if it's such a big question mark whether or not this is actually a product even meant to be on Steam, I'd say that would be probably labeled as I should ignore this. It's an anomaly. I can't get any data from this. Look at games more closer to what you're actually making, rather than, hey, a coconut can make $5, then I can make $5. That's more like, well, maybe, maybe not. You're not probably not selling your game to the same people. So I'd say look at similar horror games. Are they asking $5? Are they selling for $5? And why are they able to sell for $5? Is it amazing trailer, amazing gameplay, whatever? I'd look at that and kind of ignore the coconut. I'd ignore the coconut, do it. All right, I'm gonna end this before ad starts. It makes no sense to me that we'll go through that, or I might not be able to in time. Do we have anyone we can raid? Anyone who's fun? God, I want to do this before ad starts. She's done this before. All right, we're going to make a guess that this individual is fun to. All right, so be kind, everyone. I'm going to pass you all on to this new streamer and raid. Sorry, ad starting in a moment. This is poorly planned, but thank you all for showing up. If you like what I do, I am on YouTube. I do have a YouTube channel, so if you want to see previous VODs, you can find them there. I will go live again on Friday, same time. So everyone, thank you all for showing up and be kind. We're going to start this raid. So if you want to join us, going over to, what's his name? Kriestrikon? I think I mentioned that, pronouncing that correctly. So be kind, everyone. Have a great day. That was fun, Roberto. I hope to see you another time. All right? Everyone, take care. We're just going to do that. I am going to end my stream. Bye, all.